On this matter, Kofi Asare has been speaking about this. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We'll get into the details of that right now. Also, the latest in the world of business and sports for the next 1 hour 30 minutes. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. But for now, settle for the summary of the news. Safwa Boahin is here.
Thank you, Alfred, and welcome to the news summary segment. Let's settle for the details now. The Electoral Commission, EC, aims to finalize results for Domekwabenya and Ablekuma North constituencies before the 9th Parliament inauguration. Despite opposition criticism labeling the recollation illegal, the Deputy Commissioner, Dr. Bosman Asare, defended the move, stating it aligns with legal precedent. Education Minister Dr. Yao Oseyeduchum assured candidates that WASI results will be released by December 29. Government has paid 50 million Ghana cedis of the 118 million Ghana cedis owed to WAEC, enabling the processing of results, which is now 50% complete. Also, concerns over inadequate funding of the Free SHS program have resurfaced amid delays in WASI results. President-elect John Dramani Mahama has pledged to improve the program, but research highlights critical financial and structural gaps requiring urgent attention. Away from that, Bishop Elisha Salifo Amoakon was involved in a 5-vehicle collision in Tesano, Accra, beg your pardon. While no injuries were reported, the incident follows a recent tragedy involving his son, who was sentenced for manslaughter in a fatal East Legon accident. To our last story, Ghana's Operation Recover or Loot oral team is set to tackle high-profile corruption cases from the Akufo-Addo administration, focusing on transparency and accountability. The team aims to investigate, recover misappropriated funds, and prosecute offenders. Key cases under scrutiny include 1. National Cathedral project, 2. Ambulance procurement scandal, and 3. Presidential jet scandal, and the last one is the Sputnik V vaccine scandal. And that brings us to the end of our news summary segment. And over to you, Alfred and Beatrice.
So far, thank you very much. Let's get into the details of the news right now. And the Electoral Commission is currently engaging political parties in an inter-party advisory committee meeting over outstanding parliamentary election results. We'll be crossing over shortly to the Electoral Commission headquarters and give you details of exactly what is happening right now. But earlier, the Commission assured constituents of Ablekuma North and Domkwabenya constituencies that their members of Parliament elect will be declared before the inauguration of the new Parliament. That's the 9th Parliament on the 7th of January 2025. The Electoral Commission over the weekend, following a court order, declared some 7 parliamentary results in the just ended elections, leaving 2 outstanding. That's the Domkwabenya constituency and the Ablekuma North constituency. The Commission is confident of completing its work soon to pave way for the declaration and also the announcement of the 2 new MPs elect. This comes despite opposition criticizing this particular process. Main opposition NDC has maintained that results recollation is illegal. At the news conference this afternoon, Deputy Commissioner in charge of corporate affairs for the Electoral Commission, Dr. Bosman Asare, justified their decision, insisting that the Electoral Commission has not breached any law while referencing previous recollation exercises. Take a listen.
With the support of the Ghana Police Service and the National Election Security Task Force, the Commission has been able to declare the right winners in 10 out of these constituencies which were outstanding. That's the 12th constituency. The Commission has been able to declare 10 out of 12. It started with 12 initially, and we were able to declare 3. We declared Akwatia, Suhum, and Fantia North. Then we had 9 outstanding. Out of the 9, we've been able to declare 7 of them, so making a total of 10 out of 12. So just to reiterate, the Commission has always maintained that it is not the responsibility of the Commission to make someone the president or member of Parliament. That is the sole responsibility of the people of Ghana. And the Commission will ensure that the will of the people as expressed at the polling stations is reflected at all times. We are hopeful that the 2 outstanding constituencies will have their members of Parliament elect very, very soon, way before the swearing in Parliament. The Commission took the decision to complete the collations in Accra because of the security situation in the constituencies that the results were outstanding. In our engagement with the Ghana Police Service and the Election Security Task Force, it was concluded that completing the outstanding collations in Accra will be more ideal. So the commission listened to that. And since we started that out of 12, we've been able to clear 10 of them. The commission does not gazette collation centers. Consequently, once the security situation in the constituency will impede the collation of polling station results, the commission will look for other venues that will be appropriate. Again, in 2004, when the chairperson of the commission, Dr. Kodjo Afarijan, recollated the results of the Pru constituency in the Bronx-Ahafo region, it was done in Sunyani, the regional capital, instead of the constituency capital of the Pru constituency. In conclusion, we wish to state that Article 46 of the 1992 Republican Constitution states that, except as provided in this Constitution or in any other law not inconsistent with this Constitution, in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. Consequently, the Commission urges all stakeholders to support the Electoral Commission for the Electoral Commission to be able to carry out its mandate to the conclusion. And once we're able to carry out our mandate to the conclusion, if anyone has any adverse findings, then the person can proceed. But as I stated, the law is very, very clear that we are well mandated to perform the functions we are performing. On behalf of the Commission, once again, I want to say thank you and wish each of our media partners a Merry Christmas and a very, very prosperous New Year.
As Dr. Bosman Asare is the EC Deputy Commissioner in charge of corporate services there. But let's stay a bit further on this matter. Nelson Roxon Dafiamepo is Member of Parliament for the South Dike constituency. He's a private legal practitioner, and in fact, the legal aid to Ebi Bright, who was the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Tema Central constituency. Thank you. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Honorable, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You hear Dr. Bosman Asare in the latter part of what I just played to our listeners, asserting the independence of the commission and quoting Article 46(1) to the extent that any other law not consistent with the Constitution in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. I mean, and they say that whatever they are doing right now is within their mandate, Honorable.
Now, thank you very much. Ask Bosman Asare which law mandates them to do what they are doing. Because the Constitution didn't say that where the Electoral Commission declares results, senior officers sitting in Accra can decide that they will not recognize declarations of results at polling stations collated at constituency levels and reverse that decision in Accra. Which law? But in pursuance of Article 46 of the Constitution and Article 51 of the Constitution, you have come to Parliament in 2020, sometime in July 2020, and proposed to Parliament regulations that will guide you in the holding and supervision of public elections. Parliament agreed to the terms of those regulations, and same were gazetted in July 2020. So when you want to justify unlawful activities and you go back into time and mention 204 matters, which were not governed by Regulation 127, then you see that these guys, they are either criminals or they don't understand what they are doing. Again, he refers to a 1998 matter.
Specifically in the 1998 matter, he says during the district level elections in the Dompoase Kokwado electoral area.
Ocansey, I know exactly what I'm dealing with.
Right, I'm just telling you what he said.
When he referenced the 1998 matter, that it was recollated.
Yes.
Was the 1998 district assembly elections organized pursuant of regulation CI 127? No. There are different legal regimes that govern our elections over the period. We have had CI 76. We have CI 91. We have had CI 126. We have CI 127. In any case, even PNDC law 284, there's no provision in that law that mandates them to do what they have done. PNDC law 284 only mandates you that where you are aggrieved, specifically from sections 13, 14, and 15 of PNDC law 284, when you are aggrieved, the law provides the formula, the procedure that you should follow in proceeding to the High Court. Nowhere does it say that you can declare results when your officers, accredited officers, who are returning officers in pursuance of Regulation 2 and 3 of CI 127, when they perform their functions of office, then you sit in Accra and claim that you are a deputy commissioner, so you don't recognize what they do. Now, are you capable, he was Ansari, is he capable of determining the incidence of duress or otherwise? He can't do that. It's only a court of law that can do that. They have been singing the same song with the NPP that some returning officers, the guns were pointed to their head. When you ask them to give you an example, they're unable to. So these guys have clearly decided that they will do what they like, whether the law provides for it or not. But I've been telling them that when they do all this, they should have cognizance of Regulation 45 of CI 127, which provides a penal regime where even an EC officer, whether high-ranking or low-ranking, does not perform his functions of office in pursuance of the terms and conditions of Regulation 45 of CI 127. So I am saying, when it sues the Electoral Commission, it says we should go to court. Why didn't the Electoral Commission tell those people who agitated so much so that they can go to Fantiakwa North and bring collation sheets from Fantiakwa North and come to Tesano in Accra and declare? Is that regular? Or was that regular? So AEC clearly has become a participant in this election, and they are supporting the NPP to steal the mandate of NDC parliamentary candidates elect.
What
so
you
they
see,
hold on.
They have reduced the problem. Why you round up for me?
They have reduced the problem from a justiciable matter in our court to one of political, because we are in court. Even the court processes that was served on people like Bosman Ansari, they have disregarded it up to now. Bosman cannot hold press conference and say that in the course of performing these matters or performing this recollating so-called, we have been served with the court process initiated by the NDC. They have completely disregarded that. He's not also speaking to the fact that as an NDC, we are rejecting certain fabricated pink sheets in the same way that they have power to reject ballot papers as though they are rejected ballots. In the same way, you have power to reject fabricated pink sheets. How do I allow a pink sheet that has been fabricated to be admitted so that it goes against my candidate? But that is exactly what they have done. But I want to assure them, look, let me quote scripture. Ecclesiastes 3:3 says there's time for everything. And so Bosman Ansari can hold press conference today and spew anything that he thinks, even though it's not in accord with law, and urge it upon us to accept.
Okay.
But tomorrow, we shall have answers for him.
So
all things are permissible unto man to do, but the end thereof.
Counsel, so the underlying issue here that you push quite strongly is that every election that we organize or has been organized in this country is governed by specific constitutional instruments, CIs.
No. First of all, the mother law is the Constitution. So
yes.
When it goes to quote Article 46, that they are not subject to the direction and control of any entity. Nobody is controlling them. We are telling them that their conduct is unlawful. If you are a creator of the Constitution, and public servants who serve in that creator of Constitution, a public institution, you have decided to act in a very biased, partisan manner. Some of us, we have the right to point those errors or unlawful conduct out to you. It is up to you to do things in accordance with law or remain on the path that you have chosen.
So
but I am saying that the remedy available to all of us will soon be known.
So essentially, Dr. Bosman Asari's reference to the happenings in 1998, the year 2004, in fact, 5 instances he referenced in 2004, cannot apply to the circumstances and the state of affairs we're talking about now.
Totally inapplicable. Totally inapplicable. It's as if saying that in 2004, I can register with a voter's ID card that has no photograph on it.
So,
that is what he's saying. Meanwhile, now you cannot vote unless you have a voter's ID card that is biometrically verifiable. Can you relate modern day matters properly regulated in law, which is CI 127 and PNDC law 284, to matters that happened in 2004, 20 years ago, where the regulations governing our public elections gave different legal regimes?
Okay, so the CI that governed the 1996, 2004, 2012 elections had provision for recollation, correct? Because
no, there was no such provision. So the additional point I need to make to Bosman Asari is that if Dr. Afarijan did these things in 98 and 2004 and nobody raised it, it doesn't mean that when the similar wrongful activity is done today, it cannot be questioned. Especially when the modern law that he himself followed Jean Mensa to Parliament. In fact, it got to a point when we were reviewing this matter, when he came for pre-laying consideration, he led the team to come. He never asked for a provision to be inserted in the law that will mandate the commission to recollate where they think that there are exogenous factors that would have affected the collation or recollation. He didn't ask for it.
But I see. But was that not attempted and the minority blocked it? Because I followed the debate on this matter quite closely. There was no such provision. The only thing we blocked was the new CI they wanted to introduce, which was to mandatorily require the use of Ghana card as the sole identity for the elections.
Thank you. The CI 127 was enacted in 2020 July. What they brought was that is the draft CI for 2023, which was to make the Ghana card a sole ID card for purposes of registration and voting, which we rejected flatly. So they are not the same matters at all.
I see. So as we speak, there hasn't been any constitutional instrument that makes provision for recollation in any of the elections that we have conducted in this country?
At all, because in pursuance of Regulation 2, which mandates returning officers as the mandated officers to collect results in pursuance of Regulation 39, 2 and 3 of CI 127, the functions of returning officers is captured in Regulation 3 of CI 127. Only they. So when their work is done, the principal sitting in Accra have no rule. So that if anybody is aggrieved with the declaration of results by a returning officer in the constituency collation center, what he has to do is take the evidence of the grievances, the evidence based on which he has the grievances, to a court of law, which in this case is High Court in pursuance of Article 99, clause 1A thereabout of the Constitution.
I see. Well, in this instance,
otherwise we run a danger. Where an unscrupulous EC commissioner can sit in Accra and say that, for instance, declarations made in say Southline, he disagrees, and so he has to do a recollation in Accra and reverse the decision, whether or not it's in a court. Because when you call for pink seed to be brought to Accra, we were not made to even follow and protect how the pink seeds were moved and transported. And the pink seeds, Ocansey, let me tell you today, during these elections, I discovered that pink seeds, there are 2 copies of originals. If you open the booklet of the pink seed, there are two pages containing 2 originals.
2 originals, as in
originals in the same booklet.
Not the duplicate, but the original.
Not the duplicate. Anybody who participated in this process as an EC officer will confirm what I'm saying.
Anyway, we'll see how the coming days will be on this matter. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
Nelson Roxon Dafion is member of Parliament for the South Dyke constituency, is private legal practitioner and legal counsel for the NDC candidate for the Tema Central constituency, Ebi Bright. But we're keeping an eye on how things are playing out at the Electoral Commission, the Interparty Advisory Committee meeting. In fact, there's an emergency IPAC meeting on the two outstanding constituencies, that's Blakema North and the Dom Kwabenya constituency. So stay with us. We'll cross over shortly to a correspondent there to give us an idea of what's happening.
And from the electoral issues and some legal disputes there, expect your results released on or before December 29 if you sat for the 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASI. Well, that's the assurance coming from the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. It follows the government indebtedness to the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, which has affected the processing of examination results for candidates. Now, the government over the last few days has released a total of 50 million Ghana cedis out of the 118 million owed the examination body. Now, the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, says that the results processing is about 50% complete and expect the release next week. George Quainin reports.
In entirety, government owes WAEC in excess of 180 million cedis, out of which 25 million cedis has been paid. Although paltry, as described by the council, the operations have resumed to ensure that the 2024 WASI results are released, which have been delayed due to government indebtedness.
I came to apprise myself of developments in terms of the fact that they are working now through the holidays to get the results out on or before 29th of this month. So I came and I saw the workers. Scanning is being done. Close to 50% is done. They assure me by the end of the day, over 50% of scanning will be completed.
The sector minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, who paid an unannounced visit, was satisfied at the level of work so far. He was unable to tell when the remaining funds would be paid.
I've had very good discussions with my head of nation. We are on the same page. Work will be completed.
We are yet to know when students will report to the various tertiary institutions.
I will not be able to, give specifics on that. Certainly, you may have to speak to GES for more details. Of course, if I also have briefing from there, I'll be able to speak to it. But, for today, what I can speak of head has to do with our visit here.
Stakeholders have expressed concern about the results delay, and for the Dean of the UPSA Law School, Professor Ernest Kofi Abochi, the delay is a true reflection of the deep crisis the educational sector is saddled with.
And George Quainin filed that report. Well, amidst delays in the release of the WASI results by the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, the Free Senior High School program has come under renewed scrutiny due to concerns about inadequate funding. Well, although President-elect John Mahama has pledged to sustain and improve the program, recent research highlights significant financial and structural gaps that require immediate and focused attention to ensure its effectiveness and sustainability under the incoming administration. And I'm joined in the studio now by Wisdom Safo. He's with our data and research team. He's actually a data and research analyst right here at Media General. Wisdom, just tell us more about the state of the Free Senior High School in terms of funding as we have it now.
Oh, okay. So, Beatrice, if you recall, immediately after His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo assumed office in 2016, a year after the Free SHS 2017. He was sworn in on January 7th. So when he assumed office, he implemented the Free SHS in the first year of his first term, and it was welcomed. But there were some challenges, and these has been a structural challenge down the lane. So this is the state of the Free SHS in terms of funding. So in 2017-2018, the number of beneficiaries for the first year of implementation were 362,775. and the amount allocated or spent by government was 480 million Ghana cedis. Now, if you translate this and divide it by every student, the unit cost for each student stands at 1,323 Ghana cedis. That's per head, amount that the government is spending on each student. Fast forward, 2018-2019, the beneficiaries almost doubled to 795,729. And the amount spent on these beneficiaries was 1.13 million Ghana cedis. So if you look at the data, you realize that the amount has more than doubled. But look at what is happening to the unit cost.
And if you're watching us, forgive me for interrupting you. If you're watching us on Facebook, we're showing you the figures Wisdom is talking about right now in studio. Yes, so you're giving us the unit breakdown?
Yes. So you see, if you look at 2018-2019, the amount spent by the government was 1.13 million Ghana cedis. But look at what happened to the unit cost. It increased to 1,420 Ghana cedis per head, but it's not significant based on the percentage increase in the cost in totality because of the number of beneficiaries. Because it was free, it became inundated with students.
Of course.
And yes, so fast forward 2019-2020 as well, the beneficiaries increased again from 795,000 to 1.15 million. So now we are entering into the millions. And look at the total cost. It's also increased for 1.13 million to 1.28 million Ghana cedis. But look at what happened to the unit cost. It's dwindled. It's dropped by almost 400 Ghana cedis per head. So you realize that, look at 2020-2021. It increased again from 1.15 million to 1.26 million beneficiaries. The amount again, the unit cost, the total that the government spent also increased to 1.4 million Ghana cedis. Look at what happened to the unit cost. It almost remained the same. So this means that what this data is telling us is that though the government is spending on free SHS, because the numbers are increasing, it is not enough looking at the per unit cost.
So like a drop in an ocean.
Yeah, exactly. So look at 2021-2022. The number of beneficiaries again increased to 1.29 million. And the government also spent, though it's decreased from 1.4 million to 1.01 million. Look at the unit cost, 781 Ghana cedis. So look at the inflation rate has not even been factored in. The inflation rate in 2017, the prices of goods were even better compared to 2022. And look at the amount that was spent on each student. It has dwindled from 1,300 Ghana cedis to 781 Ghana cedis. So this is the issue that we are facing as a country. So though the funding is increasing, the beneficiaries are also increasing.
And that means that the quality in terms of how much is committed to each person also drops.
Exactly. So that's the issue we are faced with. Now, Beatrice, let's look at where the revenue that the government is spending on the free SHS is coming from. Now, let me give you a quote from Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He said, "We are using some of the income from our revenue, oil revenue, to fund the free senior high school program. And I believe strongly that this is the most equitable and transparent use of the oil revenue, instead of it finding way into the pockets of politicians and bureaucrats." So the oil revenue, we are using a percentage of that oil revenue to fund the free SHS. And according to Nana Akufo-Addo, that is a better way to use the oil revenue than it finding in the hands of bureaucrats and politicians. Now let's look at what is happening to that oil revenue in question. Now in 2023, you see, the oil revenue, we have something we call the annual budget funding amount. That's a percentage of the oil revenue that is used to support government's funding. And that's what we call the APFA. Now, the APFA in 2023 dwindled. The APFA contribution to the free SHS dwindled by 27.11% in 2023. This is because of Agenda 111.
Okay.
The government is also using that same percentage to also fund the Agenda 111 hospital. So look at what happened. So this amount decreased from 1.17 billion Ghana cedis in 2022 to 850 million Ghana cedis in 2023. That's a reduction of 316.1 million Ghana cedis.
So the amount you mentioned earlier was all going into the free senior high school. At first.
But now we have to share it.
So now the balance of the 300 something you talked about to the 800 went to Agenda 111.
Yes. It is being used on the Agenda 111 hospital. Yes. So that's the issue that we have projects and we are using the same pot of funds. So we have to share the funds between those projects, and that is what is causing a dwindle in the revenue allocation from the petroleum of revenue to the free SHS program. So this is a graph that shows that how it has decreased. Is a pictorial appreciation of the figure. So you see 2022 1.16 billion, the percentage decreased 27.11, which amounts to 360 million Ghana cedis, and now in 2023 is around 850 million in 2023. That's from our petroleum revenue.
But it's not all gloom and doom, as somebody would or people would put it. People have suggested or proposed measures by which we can improve the free senior high school.
Yes.
I know that Africa Education Watch, for instance, has submitted its own proposals, and the incoming president as well. Are you able to run us through some of those?
Oh, yes. You know what? We will go to that, but look at something. Apart from 2017, when the government exceeded its budget for the free SHS, the government...
But it was the teething period, right?
Yes, so you have to create an impression.
Yeah.
Yes, in the first year of implementation. But apart from the 2017, when the government exceeded its budget for the free SHS, the government has consistently funded the program below the required amount for successful implementation. Currently, the government provides only half of the funds that's needed to run the free SHS. That's what we call the budget credibility. Budget is not exact. The Minister of Finance will present the budget, and doesn't mean that automatically
that's what is going to happen.
Exactly. It can either be above or below.
That's why we have excesses sometimes.
Exactly. So look at this graph. This graph shows us the percentage of the budget that is being funded on free SHS. So if you submit free SHS budget, what is the percentage of it that is being funded? That's what we term as the budget credibility. Now look at what happened in 2017, 2018. So you see the first year of implementation, 120%. So the government went 20% above what was proposed. But look at what happened. 2018, 2019, it dropped 99%. 2019, 2020, dropped 76%. 2020, 2021, dropped 58%. 2021, 2022, dropped again 51%. So now we are around half. So what is actually needed to fund the program. In 2023, 2024, we are moving around 48%.
That's even dropped further.
It has dropped further. So this is what we are faced with as a country. This is the challenge that we are faced with. Now let's move on to the woes that these inadequate fund is causing. With the projection that we have made, we realize that doing our running our regression analysis, we realize that by 2025, 2026, the government will need about 5 billion Ghana cedis to actually run the program. So it will put
5 billion to run it per which period? Annually, monthly?
Annually. So a year, we will need around 5 billion Ghana cedis to fund the free SHS program.
That is if it remains in its current state without revision.
Exactly. And even make it better. So we factored all the loopholes. If you want to make it very efficient, maintain the quality and the standard that we all want, we will need about 5 billion Ghana cedis.
So break it down further for us.
Okay.
You know there have been concerns about why we are paying for even those who are in boarding schools and taking care of all the others. So when you talk about making it better, which ones are we taking out? Which ones are we including that will all sum up to that 5 billion annually that you're proposing per your research?
Oh, okay. So we used the growing figures. We looked at the numbers the increment, you realize that each and every year the number does not dwindle; it rather increases. So, looking at the trajectory, we are projecting that it will reach about 1.6 million general population growth. You know, when there is a population growth, it fits in the school attendance rate as well as the people that goes into free SHS and all that. So that's what we factored, and we also looked at the prices of goods and services as well. We realized that by that time too, prices will be high because of the inflation rate as well. So these projections were based on the figures, the prices of goods as well as the inflation rates that we projected. So that was what it was based on. So this is the projection that we have made, that to effectively run it, we need about 5 billion.
So tell us the proposals that have come in from both think tanks or research institutions, and indeed even the incoming president.
Okay, so it's all about where is the money? Where do we get the money to fund the program? You see, this free SHS is good. We've accepted it, we've applauded it, but the funding has always been an issue. With 60% of the schools reporting inadequate teachers numbers, worsening teacher to student ratio, and impacting the quality of learning, the average class size has increased by 30%, with some schools having 60 to 70 students per classroom, putting burden on teachers. The double track system has also affected 50% of the senior high schools, disrupting academic schedules. 60% of the public SHS lack modern facilities like laboratories. Going on, 25% of students.
Yes, that's fine. So I just want you to give us the solutions, because we are running out of time. What people are proposing?
So let's start with the president-elect. John Dramani Mahama. So he has proposed the no fee stress policy to increase the continuation rate. What he identified is that because of the large pool of students who complete SHS, there's pressure, and some of them are not able to continue after the senior high school, so they become dropouts immediately after they complete SHS. So he's bringing the no fee stress as a cushion, where if you complete SHS, at least the academic user fees for the first year will be catered for by the government, so that you will be able to navigate around and actually apply for students loan or look at other sources of revenue to fund yourself for the remaining 3 years or remaining 2 years of your tertiary education. Now the president-elect has also proposed that you include private schools in the policy. One of the problems that we identified was that the private schools are recording lower turnouts and decline in revenue because of the free SHS. Everybody wants to go into the public schools. So the president-elect is saying that he will include the private schools.
And also, the last point here, so we can speak to a ranking.
He has also said
you
finish the stored e-block projects, abolish the double track system, as well as improve the quality of meals, which has always been a topical issue.
Abolish, so can you repeat that point?
So abolish the double track system and improve the quality of meals.
Thank you so much, Wisdom Safo, for that detailed research information you brought to us. We are joined by Dr. Clement Park. He is Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening to you and good evening to our listeners.
Hello, Doc, if you can hear us. First, I'm sure you might have heard the challenges that our research desk just brought around, even the financing alone, and how much it will cost us to fund the free senior high school policy. I know the incoming president has promised that he's going to make it better and make it financially viable, as it were. What can you tell us as regards some of the measures, for instance, being currently considered to ensure that this promise is implemented or comes to pass?
Well, let me say good evening to you and good evening to our listeners again. To indicate that the research that you have done, which was presented by one of your colleagues, is the same information that has informed the manifesto proposals that John Dramani Mahama has made with regards to secondary education in general and the free senior high school program in particular. And so, yes, we are well aware that one of the challenges has to do with erratic and I would say opaque sources of funding the program. I say erratic and opaque because as a member of parliament, I've been in parliament on the education committee for almost 8 years. And every year we have allocated and approved the request made to finance the policy and the program. And on average, we have been allocating 2 billion Ghana cedis. So the issue of how that 2 billion is utilized is a matter that is of concern to all of us, because there hasn't been much transparency and accountability as far as the resources we have been allocating to and approving for the implementation of the policy is concerned. So John Dramani Mahama has said, for example, that to ensure that the program gives us the best of output, he is going to ring fence a percentage of our oil revenue and dedicate that to the financing of the implementation of the policy. With regard to the issue of inadequate academic and residential space, he has also indicated that we would complete the abandoned E-blocks, we would add infrastructure to the already existing infrastructure in present schools and in parts of the country, particularly in the new regions, where there is the need to establish new secondary schools, that will be done as well. And of course, the issue of feeding continues to be one that remains a very worrisome situation. So with regard to feeding, John Dramani Mahama has proposed that he would decentralize the feeding arrangements, where the current arrangement that requires that funding for non-perishables remain with the ministry, and that non-perishable food items are procured and supplied through the middleman institution known as buffer stock, that is going to be cancelled. So rather than giving only the 30% for perishables to the schools, the 100% for all the feeding would go to the schools so that they would make their own local arrangements in their catchment areas to ensure that they get quality, good, nutritious food to feed the students in a timely manner. Of course, the bringing on board the private schools, I believe, is also a very, very important component to help us address the challenges to do with inadequate residential and academic infrastructure, and also to get rid of the double track system. Many of these private schools, since the inception of the policy and its implementation, have been left on their own. And because parents now want to take advantage of the free, mostly parents are sending their awards to the public schools. And so the private schools have either collapsed or they are performing way below their capacity. So bringing them on board, to which they have agreed to, that they are willing to accept the same fee that government expends on a student in the public school system, we believe we should be able to combine the coming on board of the private schools, the completion of abandoned E-blocks and other abandoned educational infrastructure, and the augmentation of existing schools with additional infrastructure to allow us to bring an end to the obnoxious double track system, at least within the first year.
So, Doc, I hear you make two major points in the midst of all that you said. The first one being the opaque and erratic sources of funding that we'll go into very shortly. But again, you also talk about transparency and accountability when it comes to how the monies that Parliament, for instance, approves are used. I want to find out from you the issue of transparency and accountability. Do you think it is the reason we've had the funding for free senior high school having challenges to an extent that, we had a very high percentage now is below 50% of how much is supposed to be allocated to it?
Well, yes, I have long suspected that the full complement of what is requested for and approved by Parliament has not been going towards the implementation of the policy. And I say so because time without number, I have sought to get specifics from the former Minister for Education, who, you know, is the flag bearer of, the running mate of the failed MPP ticket in the recent election, as well as the current one, to give us the breakdown in terms of the cost centers. Because there are a number of variables that government has decided to take up and to pay for, which then defines what we call free. And so we can talk about feeding, we can talk about boarding, we can talk about library fees, we can talk about SRC fees, and all the list. The last time I checked, there were about 12. So if we want to be properly accountable, and if the managers of the system wanted to be transparent and accountable, as I've been demanding, every year they ought to be able to give us a breakdown about what percentage or what nominal amount goes to feeding, goes to accommodation, goes to utilities, goes to sports apparel, goes to library fees. They have never been able to do that for almost 8 years. And yet, every time we are hit with complaints of shortages in terms of food, we are hit with complaints in terms of governments or the ministry's inability to pay suppliers of sports apparel and even books. So it makes you wonder what has been going on. Where has the money
and
been
Doc,
going to?
and that's just my final question to you. And I'm going back to what I said earlier about the opaque and erratic sources of funding. I heard you mentioning how you're going to be merging, institutions or collaborating to ensure that you get the best out of every stakeholder to make this work. But again, you mentioned opaque and erratic sources of funding. In the midst of that, as you've mentioned, what do you think, or based on your own research, do you think would work in terms of modern sources of funding for the Free Senior High School, aside from the oil bits that you talked about?
Well, that is what my flag bearer said. So clearly you can expect that will be my position. You must remember, too, that I was one of the spokespersons on education for our 2024 campaign. So I agree entirely with our flag bearer. But also keep in mind that John Mahama has said that in his first 120 days, he is going to constitute a national conference on education in Ghana. So this would then provide an avenue for all stakeholders to meet around the table for us to make various propositions and consider various options. So if it is the will of the Ghanaian people that in addition to the oil money that he has indicated he will ring fence to finance the policy, if Ghanaians think that in spite of that, we ought to look at another avenue to augment or support the implementation of the policy, then that will be considered. But in the meantime, the surest source of funding the policy satisfactorily, transparently, as far as we are concerned, is what John Mahama is proposing to do, which is to ring-fence a percentage of our oil revenue dedicated to financing the implementation.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Clement Park. He's Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament.
Well, you're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And to some more stories here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, will tell you about the latest from the Electoral Commission right now, and the emergency inter-party advisory committee meeting currently ongoing at the Electoral Commission offices. We have eyes on that. We'll tell you about exactly how things are playing out here. on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the severity of the cholera outbreak being recorded in parts of the country is said to be subsiding. The Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedebekwen, tells 3FM the Ashanti region has also recorded some cases, bringing the number of regions affected to 5, with over 10 districts recording cases. He wants the general public to watch what they eat during the festive season.
The bacteria will move with the person. So there are pockets in other regions. So we have Eastern, but that has very limited confirmed cases. We have about 3 or 4. And then recently we have also about 3 or 4 confirmed cases in Ashanti. So if we want to look at it by regions, the dominant regions are Greater Accra, Central, and Western. But for now, for Greater Accra, if you look at the original source of the outbreak, like that down East and down West, we don't seem to have cases there now. So they are about, I would say, out of the threats. And what I would say is that just recently we are getting pockets of cases in the central part of the Accra Metro. So that's an issue that is new. So our focus now is on Western. And I also need to state that we had over 640,000 doses of oral cholera vaccine, which we have used. So now I think now we have used almost about 95% of it. And I'll say over the past a week, you can see that the caseload is better. They are getting less severe cases. Just so clearly it tells you that the severity of the disease is going down. Yeah, so I think that the principles still remain. And what we are doing is that we are doing aggressive contact listing, and then doing what we do, what they call the household disinfection. So normally, like if you have a case, our team made up of the health workers and the environmental officers come there and disinfect the place. So that we try to get rid of any source of infection. And we are also trying to make sure that awareness is good. We want to tell every Ghanaian that we are in a festive mood. We have a cholera outbreak. The bacteria can move from one person to another. But there's a way we can prevent it. Do you understand? So let's be cautious when we are putting anything in our mouth, whatever we are drinking.
That's the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedebekwen there. Now, so live here on Hot Edition. We're back shortly after this quick break with the latest in the world of business. Stay with us.
This holiday season, there's a perfect place to be. La Villa Boutique Hotel, where comfort meets festive joy. Join us for celebrations that cater to corporates, families, and friends. Celebrate with us where the joy never ends. Enjoy live bands and DJs that keep the beat and acoustic tunes that are, so sweet. Indulge in delicious meals that will delight your taste buds. Celebrate this Christmas with style and cheer on December 13th, 20th, and 27th. Book your preferred slot now and celebrate with us on a starry night. For reservations, call or WhatsApp 055-7838-577. That's 055-7838-577. End your year where joy begins. La Villa Boutique Hotel, an oasis in the heart of a city.
Welcome back to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the business news now. And Ghana's oil and gas sector sees mixed growth in 2024. And the pattern set to continue over the period. According to recent data, the sector recorded a significant growth in the first half of the year, but witnessed a decline in the third quarter. This mixed performance raises concerns about the sector's overall growth prospects for 2025.
Oil and gas, which is a component of mining and quarrying, as was indicated, overall mining and quarrying saw a growth rate of 17.1% in the third quarter of 2024. However, it is instructive to indicate that oil and gas, which is part of the mining and quarrying subsector, contracted by 0.6%. What is more noticeable is the fact that until this contraction of 0.6%, the oil and gas subsector has consistently in the last 3 consecutive quarters expanded by 10.7%, 13.8%, and 14.6% in the second quarter of 2024. So this 0.6% contraction in the third quarter of 2024 is a reversal of the expansion that we've consistently seen in the last 3 quarters for the oil and gas subsector.
As Government Station Professor Samuel Kobina Enim on Ghana's oil and gas sector's mixed growth in 2024 with a contraction in the third quarter. Away from that, as this festive season approaches, savings and investment analyst Patrick Abankwaba is cautioning individuals and businesses to exercise financial discipline. According to Patrick Ba, being financially disciplined means aligning one's income and spending within a specific time frame. He advises all, and also this comes on the critical time when many individuals and businesses tend to overspend during the festive season.
It's a great time for businesses and individuals to take stock and then to set financial goals for the year ahead, since it presents both opportunities and challenges. And a very disciplined approach for me is crucial for achieving financial comfort. Even before we look at the new year, I think that around this season where we are enjoying our Christmas and the new year, it's important for people to stay within their budget, not to overspend. Otherwise, some financial goals that we achieve in the year 2024 may be derailed by these last-minute spendings which are not according to financial plan. But I think that in the new year, budgeting is very important for businesses. It's crucial that businesses and individuals stick to their budget. You draw up your budget to track your income and your expenditures around this time of the year. And also prioritize experience over material possession. Things that you cannot afford, you don't need to put yourself in that position where it derails your financial position.
The savings and investment analyst cautioned overspending during the festivities could lead to one going in for a loan in January, which is likely to set off a cycle of borrowing for the rest of 2025. This, he noted, is not good for doing business.
You need to look at alternatives to gifts around this time. So if it's about visiting people, it's about buying something that is valuable but not very expensive. These are the options that we need to consider around this time. Businesses should also begin to put up their budget and ensure that they stay within their budget for the new year. Otherwise, if you go about doing a lot of expenditure around this time of the year, it can create a financial hole and affect your cash flow in the new year, which sometimes you may have to fall on banks for support, and that may not be an ideal situation for businesses around this time of the year. So I think that new year presents opportunity, but I all start with how we end the year 2024.
That was savings and investment analyst Patrick Abankwa there. And I'll be for the business news here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, W93.5 in One Beyond. President Akrofi has just issued, in fact, it's about delivering a Christmas message to the Ghanaian people. And let's cross over right now to the Jubilee House, where President Akrofi is just about delivering the Christmas message.
Fellow Ghanaians, As we gather with our families and loved ones on this most blessed of occasions, I come to you not only as your president, but also as a fellow citizen, a husband, a father, and a grandfather who cherishes the warmth and meaning of Christmas, just like you. Tonight, our nation is united in celebration, reflection, and gratitude for the gift of life and the boundless grace of the Almighty. Christmas is a time of joy and togetherness, a season when we pause to cherish the enduring values of love, hope, and compassion. It reminds us of the ultimate gift of our Savior, Jesus Christ, whose birth brought light into the world and gave humanity the promise of salvation. His story inspires us to be our brother or sister's keeper, to extend a hand of kindness, and to uphold the dignity of every individual. This Christmas, I invite all of us to reflect on what it means to live as one nation under God. In our homes, let us create memories that are marked by laughter, forgiveness, and the simple joys that remind us of life's true treasures. And in our communities, let us renew our commitment to being instruments of peace and progress. Let us reach out to those who are less fortunate, offering them not just material assistance, but also the priceless gift of our time, love, and presence. As I approach the conclusion of my tenure as your president, I want to speak from the heart and say, thank you. Serving as the leader of our beloved country has been the greatest honor of my life. Together we have achieved remarkable milestones. We've expanded access to education, strengthened the healthcare system, invested in infrastructure, revitalized agriculture, accelerated the industrial transformation of the economy, and worked tirelessly to secure a brighter future for our children. These achievements are not mine, they are yours. They are proof of the resilience and resolve of Ghanaians everywhere. Yet our journey is far from over. Ghana's story is still being written, and each of us has a role to play in shaping her future. Let us move forward with faith, knowing that brighter days lie ahead, powered by the energy, creativity, and determination of our people. Tonight, as the festive lights illuminate our cities, towns, and villages, let them remind us of the hope that shines within each one of us. Hope that compels us to dream big, to rise above division, and to build a nation where every child, no matter where he or she is born, has the chance to thrive. Fellow Ghanaians, this year, we have achieved another monumental milestone in our national development with the peaceful, free, and fair election of a new president and new members of parliament. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the president-elect and the MPs-elect, and wish them wisdom, strength, and God's blessings as they prepare to lead our beloved nation. I must nevertheless also condemn in no uncertain terms the unnecessary acts of violence that have tarnished an otherwise exemplary democratic exercise. Let us never forget that seeking power is not a call to arms, but rather a call to service. Those who might contemplate using violence to achieve their aims, know this: our nation's peace is sacred, and it will not be sacrificed on the altar of ambition. The rule of law will prevail, no matter what. I urge the security services to take a firm stance against any actions that threaten the stability and harmony of our land. Let us ensure that every election deepens our democracy and fortifies our unity. As the saying goes, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Let us embrace this wisdom as a guiding principle in our journey forward. As we gather around our tables to share meals, let us think of those who make our celebrations possible. The security personnel standing guard so we may celebrate in safety. The health workers caring for the sick. The farmers and fisherfolk whose labor feeds our families. Let us also remember those who are less fortunate, and may our prayers and actions bring them comfort and renewal in the year ahead. My fellow Ghanaians, having come to the end of my lawful tenure as president and preparing to step into the next chapter of my life, I leave you with this thought. Ghana is a nation destined for greatness. Let us protect her peace, cherish her unity, and nurture her promise. Together, guided by the light of hope and the spirit of love, we can achieve extraordinary things. May this Christmas season fill our hearts with joy, our homes with laughter, and our lives with blessings. May the coming year bring us closer to the Ghana of our dreams. And may God continue to bless our nation and its people abundantly. Merry Christmas, my fellow Ghanaians. I thank you and have a good evening.
That's President Akufo-Addo's final Christmas message as President of the Republic of Ghana, and detailing a number of things there, talking about the festive season and the good tidings and the future of Ghana, and also the post-election violence that we're seeing in some cases, and treating all to uphold peace as we go into this festive season. So live here on Hot Edition. We're back shortly after this quick break with the sports news. Stay with us.
This holiday season, there's a perfect place to be. La Villa Boutique Hotel, where comfort meets festive joy. Join us for celebrations that cater to corporates, families, and friends. Celebrate with us where the joy never ends. Enjoy live bands and DJs that keep the beat and acoustic tunes that are, so sweet. Indulge in delicious meals that will delight your taste buds. Celebrate this Christmas with style and cheer on December 13th, 20th, and 27th. Book your preferred slot now and celebrate with us on a starry night. For reservations, call or WhatsApp 055-7838-577. That's 055-7838-577. And your year where joy begins. La Villa Boutique Hotel, an oasis in the heart of a city.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. We start off from some local stories where Ghana winger Joseph Painter, who is currently in the country for holidays, is calling for more support for the Black Stars despite the team's failure to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, which would be hosted in Morocco. The LA Galaxy player is confident the team still has what it takes to qualify for the 2026 World Cup.
For sure, I can say a little bit, but I cannot say a lot of things because this is football now. All nations are really good. It's not like 10 years ago that maybe you meet another team that you said, oh, these people we are going to score them 5-4. It's a difficult. We are in a difficult situation now, and now everybody is playing in Europe. So you cannot say this team is bad, this national team is bad, this national team is bad, because the more you think, the more they surprise us. And as you can see, we were surprised by a lot of teams. But you know, it happens. We just ask Ghanaian to always support us no matter what. Tears and everything, we just need to go through together. All they need to do is just to help us, pray for us, support us in this upcoming qualification for the World Cup. That is the most important thing. So they should come in their numbers to support us, and we will just also make them proud and always give them their tickets in their pockets. Thank you.
And so that was Joseph Painto there speaking after the games that he organized, and he touched on the Black Stars believing that they still have what it takes to reach the World Cup, which will take place in the US, Canada, and then Mexico in a couple of years' time. But let's do some more stories here and move to the Premier League, where Mikel Arteta says that he expects Bukayo Saka to return before the end of the season, ruling the winger out for a few weeks. Saka picked up a hamstring injury in Arsenal's 5-1 win against Crystal Palace over the weekend.
It's not looking good. He's going to be out for many weeks.
Many being how many?
Many. I cannot be too specific because I don't know, but it will be many weeks.
How big a blow is that for you?
Yeah, it's a huge one. Obviously, it's a big player for us. You just have to see the impact that he's got on the team. But it's going to go a really good exercise for all of us to think about ways to overcome another challenge, because we already have a lot in the season.
And how is Raheem Sterling?
He's going to be out.
So that was Mikel Arteta, who is the boss for Arsenal. Let's move on to some more stories and talk about Manchester United, because though Marcus Rashford has been absent from the team for the last 3 games, Ruben Amorim says that he's still focused on improving the player. Rashford publicly stated he is looking for a new challenge and has since not played for the Red Devils.
It's a hard situation. But I understand that these kind of players, they have a lot of people around them, and making some choices that sometimes is not the first idea from the players. So I understand I can separate things. I'm always here for helping Marcus as another player, and they have to do what they have to do. They chose to do that interview, because it's not just Marcos, and understand that. So for me, it's as a coach, I'm just focused on the performance, the way he trained, and then the rest I think is better for me and the club deal with that when the time comes. So at the moment, I'm just focused on improving Marcus. We need a lot in this moment, the talented guy like Marcus, and I forget for now the interview. I just see what I see in the.
And that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Ocansey Ampofo. If you have some more sports stories, you can follow us on social media at 3SportsGH across X, Facebook, and then Instagram, and also on YouTube. You can also get some sports articles on 3news.com/sports. Hot Edition continues right after this.
Gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM. Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Get ready
ready to close out the year in style with the official end-of-year party, the 3FM All-White Party, happening on Saturday, the 28th of December at 7 p.m. at the plush La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. Imagine the perfect night filled with electrifying music from the hottest DJs, thrilling live performances from Stoneboy, Kitty, and Samini. And all your favorite personalities under one roof. Dressed to slay in all white. Ain't no party like a 3FM party, because a 3FM party don't stop. So inviting corporate Ghana to come party with staff or clientele, calling all the girls, and the boys. Whether you're getting seats or tables, get those dazzling white outfits ready and let's party like never before. Call 0532-200-927 or 0531-100-927 for your tables or your seat reservations now. The 3FM All-White Party is proudly sponsored by GCB Bank, your bank for life. Butelli Calipo, Lemfi, Slam Perfumes, and powered by 92.7 3FM.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7
Get ready to close out the year in style with the official end-of-year party.
Accra.
Welcome back to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in WAM and beyond. Let's cross over to the Electoral Commission right now. As I indicated to you earlier, there's an emergency inter-party advisory committee, that's an IPAC meeting ongoing. Christian Yale is our man there for us. Christian, what can you tell us about this emergency IPAC meeting? What have been discussing so far?
Alfred, we know that one of the issues that have come up over the past weeks has been about the fallout from the parliamentary election and issues having to do with the recollation of some parliamentary results. We know that there were 9 outstanding constituencies that were to be recollated. That was done on Saturday, and the EC was able to clear 7 out of the 9, and all 7 went in favor of the NPP, with 2 outstanding. We mean the Ablekuma North constituency and also that of Nsawama Duejuri. And so what we know is that this closed-door IPAC meeting, which is currently underway, is discussing issues around the 2 constituencies that are remaining, that is Ablekuma North and then Nsawama Duejuri. What we know is that the EC, is trying to reach consensus or build consensus with the political parties, also because of what the implications would be if these 2 constituencies are unable to get MPs elected or MPs to represent them in the 9th Parliament. We know that the NDC, for instance, has raised concerns about it, but earlier today we had the Electoral Commission hold a press conference by the Deputy Chairperson in charge of Corporate Affairs, Dr. Bosman Asari, who mentioned and assured, for instance, that these two constituencies would have their MPs declared way before the swearing in that would happen on 6th January against 7th January, swearing in of the president-elect and the vice president-elect. And so the IPAC meeting, which is a closed-door one, which is currently ongoing, is largely discussing these two constituencies and the way forward.
I see. Now, are you able to tell us which political parties are in attendance in this IPAC meeting?
Alfred, I can tell you that I have seen the chairman of the PNC, Samson Awingobit, around. I saw him earlier. I also saw Evans Nimako, the director of elections for the New Patriotic Party, and I can also confirm that we have the NDC president, Dr. Edward Omane-Boama, who is there. Likely, I have not cited Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, but okay, I know he's also there. I just got a verification that he is also in that meeting, that cracker meeting that is currently ongoing to resolve the outstanding issues. But what we know is that even earlier, there have been general conversations around whether what the EC is doing right now is legal or not, which particular issue was, responded to by the Electoral Commission earlier by Dr. Bosman Asari, who even cited historical circumstances, like in the 1998 instance in Commander Edna Egwafo Bremen. And then we had a couple of issues in 2004 from Yape Kusogu to Tolon to Zabzugu and the rest of them, just merely making the point that this is not the first time that the Electoral Commission has had to recollate results stemming out of confusion. So we know that the NDC is there, the NPP is there. These, you would say, are the two major political parties that are involved in all of this controversy, Alfred.
I see. Now, I know you've been lurking around the meeting location. Can you tell us what signals you're picking from this ongoing meeting as we speak?
Yes, generally it has been a very cool one so far. Also because we've not been allowed a full entry into the building itself, but just looking around the entrance, you get that atmosphere, that general impression that there is a bit of progress, though you know that NDC already has had issues, and so you expect them to raise some of these concerns, especially with some of their lawsuits that have been dismissed by the court on several occasions. And so definitely you expect to have that bit of banter and that bit of general, dissatisfaction from their side. We don't know what the NPP would say generally, but we seek to get their thought after this is done.
Chris, thank you so much. Christopher. That's Christian Yale. It's a man at the Electoral Commission head office as we speak, where the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's the IPAC emergency meeting, is ongoing. We'll keep an eye on how things play out. Stay with us here on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 at 10 p.m. We'll bring you Ghana tonight. We'll give you an update on this particular happenings at the Electoral Commission.
Let's stay on politics, and a political marketing strategist and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Kobi Mensah, says that the current crop of executives for the NPP does not represent the party's brand. He says that the NPP leadership has deviated from the principles and core values of the party. Listen to him speak to us earlier on TV.
That particular values, that particular virtues, that particular principle, I think that it has actually deviated. The kind of people that they have in leadership do not actually reflect on that particular brand, values or the brand, identity. So I think that the far-reaching exercise that they're talking about is in the right direction. Yes, first of all, they need to have a very strong introspection about the party's core identities. What are the key structures or the building blocks that actually define the NPP? They need to have that particular conversation within the party. They have to go to the people, and also, secondly, go to the people to find out what do they think NPP represent, and what should NPP represent in a modern political market, Ghana, for example. They need to get that insight. And then, of course, they need to look at the whole gamut of the strategy to the communication. I think that increasingly the Ghanaian political parties are thinking that strategy means lies, strategy means disruption, strategy means doing something that could actually get your opponent up. But that's I'm afraid, a very terrible idea. Very, very significant. I mean, we all know people like, and when I say we all, those of us of my generation, people like Apraku, people like J.H. Mensah, people like, Obeche Bilamte, people like Nanado himself, they represented a certain aspiration for them.
He's a political marketing strategist. We stay on this subject and go to the Ashanti region, which has for many years been the stronghold of the outgoing NPP, but gave it some shock during the just ended general election. William Evans Inkom is our man. He joins us live on the line from the Ashanti region. Evans, just help us understand the mood in the region right now.
Well, so mixed feelings as far as the Ashanti region is concerned. Executives of the party have begun doing a postmortem as to what might have contributed to that huge loss in terms of nominal figures and impact percentage-wise. Because if you look at the party's performance in the Ashanti region, of course, to some extent, other regions, this is the very first time they are suffering such a heavy defeat in any election. So the postmortem has been ongoing. Of course, yesterday we heard the National Executive also holding a press conference to, one, apologize to party supporters and, of course, also doing a mini postmortem of what might have contributed to that huge loss. And, of course, also opening doors for concerns and then going forward, some addressing certain concerns and, of course, grievances that people may have. It is something that I can say that the local executive here have welcomed. In fact, this morning we had...
Indeed. But beyond what you just said, how are the people generally feeling about the restructuring as announced by the party's chairman?
Well, they believe that it is a right call. They really need to know what really happened. And if there are certain individuals within the party or executive within the party who did not perform their roles as expected of them, then the needed action need to be taken against such people. Of course, people are pointing fingers, especially to the regional executive, for instance, that probably they did not do their work well. Some also believe that the central government did not also contribute, and here they are talking about the figure himself, that is, the president did not do enough to ensure that the candidate becomes a viable one for the electorate. So it is something that they have worked on. And I mean, if you test the pulse of the people here, most of them, especially party supporters, are ready to offer their candid opinion, and going forward, they expect that the executive or the committee that will be given that sole responsibility to go into the nitty-gritty of what might have contributed to if that huge loss will also consider those grievances. So they are ready to offer their grievances. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, William Evans Inkom. He's Ashanti region correspondent, actually the Northern Bureau Chief. Thank you for speaking to us. And that's it for Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us. I did this with Alfred Ocansey. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Do have a good evening and enjoy the rest of our programs. Merry Christmas.